From the Ear to There Travel Studio, this is the Ear to There Disney Podcast.
It's a food world after all, not just burgers and hot dogs. It's a food world after all with your hosts Johnny and Phil.
Welcome to It's a Food World. It's Wednesday. It's time to party. Let's try it. I'm your excellent host, Phil Gramlich, and with me as always is Johnny Shortsleeve. Party on, Johnny.
Boogie Down Productions. What's going on, my man?
How are you, man?
Living the dream.
I was going with my Wings World. It's my best Wings World intro. It didn't really work out, but what are you going to do? Now I got to do the... I don't have the hair to tuck behind my ears. I mean, to do the, okay.
I saw a gremlin the other day. It's funny you mentioned Wayne's World. I saw a gremlin on the road the other day. It wasn't decked out like the Wayne's World version, but it was a gremlin. And I thought, wow, man, that thing was looking pretty cherry. There's not a lot of those things on the road. Remember, that was such a integral part of the storyline and their own persona with the gremlin.
That's an icon. That's an iconic car, like the light blue with like the flames on the side of it.
Yeah,
what was it called? They had a name. The something mobile, I forget. But yeah, man, how you been? How's your week going? How's everything in the short sleeve household going this week?
Man, we're good. And what's funny is we're getting ready to talk about food. I already got a belly full of dinner, and now I'm churning in my mind, thinking, we're gonna talk about. I'm getting hungry. Listen, do you hear it? You hear that right there? That's saliva building in my mouth. I'm a hot mess over here, man. I shouldn't be hungry, but I'm hungry.
No, man, this might be a tough show for you to co-host every week. You're gonna have to get yourself have a snack in your office there. You can feed yourself during the recording because
what I need to do is go over to my dentist's office and record, so I can have that little thing that they put in your mouth, like to suck out the saliva when they're working on your teeth.
Yeah, now my blood just ran cold thinking about that. Oh, I hate that noise of that darn thing.
But it's wildly satisfying at the same time. Just keeping that business all under control up there while they're working on it.
Yeah, to hear the noise going. Anyway.
You ever notice, by the way, I'm going to do it quick. You ever notice how when you're in the dentist, you have your mouth cracked wide open and they want to talk to you, asking you questions? Like, I can't respond. You got all kinds of material in my mouth. You got lights on my eyes. I can't answer that question. I'm going to just nod. I should learn like ASL and see if I can sign it.
Yeah, it is the one time that they all want to talk to you. I go in the dentist's office, they all ignore me. As soon as I sit down on a chair, it's all, so how's your day going today? How are you going to talk? Anyway, I was going to put my hand in my mouth and try to make the noise, but that would just gross people out more. And this is an episode about food, so I shouldn't do that.
Yeah, man.
All right, so I mentioned in the first episode that we did, the first one of these, that we'd be talking about table service restaurants, quick service restaurants, stands, and kiosks. So this week, we're going to officially talk about our first stand. So do you want to kind of introduce what we're going to be talking about this week, or do you want me to do it?
Well, I'll give you my take, and then you can tag in and see how it works.
Yeah, it works. That works for me.
So this is a funny thing, and I like that this is so early on in the series that we're doing right now, because honestly, I'm not lying. I'm 100% genuine when I say this. You are the one that turned me on to this stand, because I'd known that it existed forever, but I just walked right past it. Never even gave it two thoughts about stopping to see what was going on in there, because on the outside, it's very, very plain, not assuming. You don't see anything that screams at you, hey, there's something unique going on here. So you just keep walking. And this is at a location where there's a whole lot of competition for great food. So that being said, why don't you, drum roll, please, go ahead and let her rip, Tater Chip.
So we're talking about, and believe it or not, it's the popcorn cart in Canada. The ba-ba-ba. That's what we're talking about, the same thing, right? That's what you prepared for today as well.
Yeah. Oh, good question. I know because we don't compare notes. That would be hilarious.
If you were just like the Adventureland, spring roll cart. I don't think that exists anymore.
It doesn't exist anymore, no. But let's talk about it.
So the popcorn cart in Canada. Now, yeah, I think you're right. I think most people are like, okay, it's a popcorn cart. Who cares? but it's not. It is. That's not true. It is a popcorn cart, but they have more than just popcorn. So, do you want to talk about the menu? Let's talk about the menu first.
And can we caveat the menu, because the menu changes a lot. And I've since you turned me on to this thing a few years ago, and I remember every time I walk by it now, I take a peek and see what's going on. And it seems like not every time I go by, but in the last few years, it's changed a bit. There's some new things that they bring in, and then they kind of disappear, and then it kind of comes back. It's obviously popcorn is like the staple, the pop secret popcorn, but then they also sneak in a few different things here and there, like they have the maple popcorn that appears every now and then. I feel like I've seen it like in the packaged form, but also I've seen it like in fresh form. Have you ever tried the maple popcorn there?
I have tried it, and it's very different than I thought. I kind of was expecting caramel corn. Yeah. And it doesn't really taste like that. It's a unique kind of, have you tried it? It's a unique, like, really a lot like maple. It's a maple syrup flavor. It's different.
Right. Because, and I'm a massive man certified. I know my food. Here's the thing with maple popcorn, in my opinion, is indifferent than caramel popcorn. Maple syrup burns at a really low temperature. So you can't like cook it like, like kettle corn, they'll like put sugar and, it kind of like comes as a part of the process of making the popcorn or the kettle corn. Even caramel, they kind of can do it in the process a little bit. It still have to be careful with the caramel temperature, but maple burns at such a low temperature that if you're not good, you'll burn it and it just tastes like burnt sugar. Or if you do have the popcorn not at like, because popcorn is like really hot when it's like 350, 400 degrees, but maple syrup burns at like 200. So if you're just pouring, so essentially you just have to pour maple syrup over fresh popcorn, and then it just kind of has to like soak in there. So it's a really interesting thing that happens if you do it right. It's super. I mean, it's not super sweet, but you can tell there's that maple flavor to it, which is really interesting. But you're right that you have a good point, because our palates. Goodness gracious, my mouth is watering. This is Bush League here. If we're trying to do a food podcast, I can't do it. I'm drooling all over the microphone.
You need the spit bucket.
I need to. Like the high school wrestlers. Just walk around
just walk around.
Spit cup. We're used to the flavor and the texture of caramel popcorn, or like I'm not even gonna say like Cracker Jack, but like good like like the caramel popcorn in Germany. I'm not even trying to pronounce that place.
Caramel
Couche. Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, you gotta watch how you say that.
Yeah, you gotta be careful. Might offend some people. my a little dicey there. We're walking the line.
Yeah, my German's a little rusty, meaning I'd never spoken it before.
Well, dude, I'm German. I took 5 years of German in high school. I still can't speak a lick of it.
No.
But look, it's a totally different texture, and the flavors and different when you go with the maple syrup. I don't know. I like it. It's because it's different and interesting, but it's not something that's always like my go-to if I want popcorn at Walt Disney World. But it's good to change it up, definitely.
Yeah, it's a different. Like I said, I had no idea about the burning of the caramel versus the burning of the. You did a lot of research for this show.
No, I experiment a lot in my kitchen.
you burn a lot of popcorn.
Pancake syrup.
Yeah, I don't. I'm very much I'm a crock pot guy lately. Tonight we made a crock pot meal. It's easy. Set it up in the morning, then the whole house smells like it. It's great.
Oh man.
But or slow cooker. I guess you can't say crock pot because crock pot owns that name. And apparently some guy got killed on some TV show off of crock pot. Have you seen that?
What?
There's a what's that show?
This is like a Japanese game show or something?
No, all the ladies in my sound like LL Cool J. Ladies love Cool James. All the ladies in my life, the adult females, like my family, watched the show, and the main character got killed by a crock pot like a few weeks ago. I don't know.
Is this a telenovela?
No, it's like what's it called? It's some show.
It sounds like a telenovela.
No, that one with Mandy Moore. The sad show.
Mandy Moore,
dude. It's a big show. It's like one of the big hits on TV. I'm telling you.
Is it Jean-Claude Van Damme, the new show? Is that the one we're talking about? I
don't know. It's like ABC, and the guy didn't I don't know, the crock pot had a faulty wire and it set the house on fire and the guy couldn't get out. And then Crockpot was like contemplating legal action because they showed the name Crockpot on the episode.
And it was paid for promotional consideration paid for by Instapot.
So anyway, yeah, so that's how I've been cooking. I can't believe you haven't heard of that show. I don't know where you've been, man. I don't know the name of it.
I'm not watching that stuff. I'm watching Steven Seagal.
Yeah,
Watching,
the Van Damme stuff.
Watching JCVD do his thing, you know?
You got your big Chris Angel Mind Freak fan. I know that. I know how that works.
Yeah, man. A lot of dude shows.
I don't even
Street
know.
Outlaws.
Anyway, so yeah, so you know a lot about the maple popcorn. I know a lot more about well, first of all, one cool thing there, they sell the big souvenir popcorn buckets. It's like $85 for one bucket, but no, it's like $10, I think. But you get refills for your length of stay for $150. That's a good deal. Like you buy them one time. I mean, you got to eat a lot of popcorn, I would think, to make it worth it for yourself. But still, you get
Wait, is it $150 for the day, or is it like for like
length of stay? I think that's your whole. You get the one bucket, and then you get to fill it up the whole week. Don't you?
So you pay like $1.50, right? Every time you go to fill it up.
Yes.
And then, but how do they prevent someone like me rolling up on January 1st?
I think you need your receipt from the original purchase.
Well, if I do that and it's like September, I go every day of the week. Could I do that?
I don't know. I guess.
Did we find a loophole?
We may have. I don't know.
Did we find a wormhole at Walt Disney World?
I don't know how it works, but I know the technical the legal language they use on the menu is valid for length of stay, and that's the same thing they use for the cups at the resorts. You get like the Disney character cups for coffee and all.
Can you see that? Can you just picture that for a second? Mr. Short Sleeve, well, you come here every day. You come here so often that you've laminated that original receipt so that it is weatherproof.
Hey, it's length of stay. You're there
every day. On the put it on like one of the pin lanyards.
You just walk up to the Canada card every day.
There he is again.
and your rascal scooter. You need one. You get popcorn every day, especially the maple popcorn. Anyway, so the reason I know the stand, the reason it's famous in my life, is the beer selection and the drink selection. Now, big shocker there. Everybody who listens to the show knows I enjoy a frosty beverage or two, especially after a Disney race. And this is how I first started going to this stand. Was after my first Disney half marathon. Now, let me ask you this. Okay, there's two kinds of people, right? When you're coming from Future World, you either start normally you go to Mexico first or you go to Canada first. Where do you go?
All right. I'm glad you asked that question because I haven't done any studies. I'm not good with science, but I feel like the majority of the guests who roll into World Showcase from that direction, from Future World, not from International Gateway, they go to the left and go to Mexico first, especially the folks that want to drink around the world. I tell everybody, all my friends, go to the right. And especially because if you're a beer drinker, I'll say start at the right and hit the popcorn cart. And I'm not going to say the one because I'm going to let you say it because it's the move. It's the spot. It's the one you got to start with if you're going to be drinking beers around Epcot.
Oh, I don't know if you want to. That's the only problem, though. Like, the one I'm talking about is La Fin du Monde.
Yeah.
Which translates, I think, to the end of the world, right? In French. I believe.
All I know is that it's brewed by Unibrow, which is a great name.
It's a great name for a brewery. It really is.
I know that's probably not how you pronounce it, but it sure looks like it when you spell it phonetically.
It looks like it to me. Yeah, it looks like Unibrow to me. I'm sure there are some French Canadians that are listening right now and are like, that's not what it is. I can't do it in my angry French Canadian accent.
When they import it to the United States, you think somebody would have said, hey, look, guys, I think you might want to change the name on this.
Something sounds funny about your brewery. But yeah, so my first, I'm always a go to the left towards Mexico guy. I always am. That's how I always do it. But one day, that half marathon day, I thought, this is what happened. As I had my medal on, I got to, the end of Future World, and I thought left Mexico, either a margarita or what's the Mexican beer? Not a Corona. What the heck is it?
Dos Equis?
Yes. Left or this at the Secchi's or right, and I thought any Canadian beer, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to celebrate with the Canadian beer. So I went right, and they had the Fin du Monde, and I've had it before, and it's an excellent beer, but it's like 10% alcohol. So you gotta, if you're going to start off with that and then do a whole trip around the world, you got to be careful. But I did, and that's really why what put that stand on my radar was the Le Fin du Monde, and they give it to you in the biggest or a 16 or a 20-ounce glass. It's huge, and they have other beers there too. They have Moosehead, I think, is always there. I'm looking at the list now. The drinks they have. What is a Moosehead Radler Draft? Do you know what that is?
Are they do like a mixer with like cider or something?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, or like a lemonade,
or Crown Royal or something.
Oh, Crown Royal! Yikes! They have an Ottawa apple drink, which is Crown Royal maple whiskey, apple infusion, and cranberry juice. That sounds delicious.
I mean, yeah, but you know what, man? I'm a purist, and I'm not gonna. I mean, I've never tried that concoction, but I rather just kind of just stay straight. Like even like going to like a black and tan or snake bites and all those kind of like 50-50 drinks. I get it. It's neat looking, but I just want to just go straight up. No messing around. No going crazy with that kind of stuff.
So you're going straight, maybe a Moosehead, Le Fin du Monde. Well, they have some wines there too. I don't know what their wines are.
See,
honestly.
Canadian wines, no disrespect, like ice wine is the move for if you want Canadian wine. Okay. And that's like a great like after dinner with a dessert.
It's like a really sweet one, right?
It's super sweet. So that's why when you see it, it's like always in these like it's like limoncello size like shot glasses almost worth, but like they'll do it in they have their own like style of wine glass for ice wine, but not like the climate's just not right for like the normal grapes up there that you would otherwise see further south toward like the Napa Valley line where everything else is grown. But I think is Labatt the other one that they have besides Moosehead and Le Fin du Monde?
Yes, they do. I don't know if they do the Labatt, and they do. Yeah, I don't know if they have a light there at all. I know they have Labatt.
Well, isn't Labatt kind of light? I mean, it's kind of like a super light.
It's kind of I think it's a pretty. I don't know.
That's I'm like talking a 5%er, I think.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty good.
It's like isn't that like Canada's Budweiser?
It is. It's not. Yeah, Canada. You look at. I mean, Canada has some beers that'll knock you on your behind.
Yeah,
sure.
But like if I just got to imagine that if you see like a pickup ice hockey game in Canada and a fist fight breaks out, there's usually some cans of Labatt Blue laying around.
Let me tell you, how much time are we on this episode? All right, we got
2 minutes. We're pretty early on, I think.
I was gonna say we got to wrap it up in a second, but I'll tell you a funny story. When I was in high school, I played hockey, right? So we had the chance to play a charity game against the Philadelphia Flyers alumni team. They were like the Broad Street Bullies, the guys who were known for like fighting and all that in the 70s. So we got to play against them, and it was the coolest thing. It was so much fun, and a lot of the guys I grew up watching, like Brian Propp played against us, and he had just retired from the NHL like a year before, and we got to play against those guys on the ice, and it was just this like even the guys who were like in their 50s, and we were like 17, 18 years old, they start skating, and you're like, oh my god, they're 35 years older than you, and you can't even get close to them. Like, that shows you the difference in level of what an NHL player is. It's amazing. But I remember after the game, we got to have dinner with them. So we went back into this like little cafeteria area of the rink where we played them. And we all got to, my teammates and I, we got soda and water. And there were these big like recyclable kind of like trash cans with ice and all kinds of Canadian beer in them. And that's what the Flyers drank. Like they came out of the locker room, they showered, and They had like, their jeans and t-shirts on, and they all went straight for the beer. They were all walking around with cans of like, Moosehead and Molson, and yeah, it was cool.
Please tell me they had Elsinore. Do you know?
I don't know what that is.
Do you know what that is?
No.
Oh, that should be a little contest. So, see, the first person who hears this and knows what Elsinore beer is and what the reference is, and give them like $100 off the service pack you sell for all the fast pass reservations you do and the dining reservations you do for your guests or something like that. I don't know. Is $100 too much?
The only thing is, I do all that for free. I can't give that away.
What? You do that for free?
I know. I shouldn't. I should pay. I should charge.
Jeez,
it's all part of the freebie package.
How do you afford these little Fin du Monds, man? Those are like $10 a hit. You're not charging for that?
I don't really. I mean, I kind of stand by the stand. Stand by the stand. That's hard to say. I stand around and look sad until somebody buys me one. I have my medal on.
The mood is everyone goes Mexico around World Showcase. By the time they're hitting Canada's the last stop, they're on shaky ground, man. They're tipsy McStagger. And you're just going to sit there and just catch all the fallout.
Yeah, well, they're ready to buy me a drink. They're just like, they're like that, the very happy-go-lucky type.
That's right.
I'll tell you what, I haven't done the around the world. I think I did that the last time I was 21, and I think my days of doing that are over at this point. I'm old. I get tired. By like 7:30, I'm ready to sit down.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta be smart about it. You gotta get the Rascal, man.
I know.
You gotta get the scooter.
I know. Next time, life goals.
Can you get a DUI riding a scooter?
Let me see if we'll find out when I come down in a couple of weeks.
We need to see if do you have any listeners who are in law enforcement who can clarify that one for us?
We do. I think Frank, listener Frank.
He's a cop?
He's an emergency. He I don't want to say exactly what he does because I don't want anybody to know.
Oh,
but yeah,
shout out to Frank. Thanks for doing what you do, buddy.
He does that kind. He does something like that. He's in that kind of business. So yeah, Frank, let us know if you could get a DUI while riding a hover round.
If you can get a moving violation.
I bet you could. All right, man. Well, this is a lot of fun, and we got to I'm trying to keep them to around 15, 20 minutes, so this is pretty much where we cut out. I forgot how we ended the last couple shows. Do you remember? Did we just say goodbye? Let's just do that.
I think, in this one, we need to do like the sign-up, Ziggy Saki.
Should I get a beer? The Ziggy Saki, Ziggy Saki?
Ziggy Saki,
Have you seen me do that?
Oi, oi, oi.
I can do the drink.
Wait, that's German, isn't it?
Yes.
Shoot,
that
right. Doesn't work.
I can do, if you add A at the end of it, Ziggy Zaggy, Ziggy Zaggy, oi, 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 A, that makes a Canadian.
And call each other hosers.
Yeah. Hey, you're a hoser, eh? Anyway, before we get in trouble, thanks again, man. This is a lot of fun. And I guess we'll see you next week.
Right on.
And that is going to do it for this week's episode of It's a Food World. Thank you so much again to my co-host and to my friend, Johnny Shortsleeve. These are as much fun to do as they sound. You never know what the guy's going to say. I kind of just laughed through the entire episode, so thank you again. And thank you for listening. As always, it is greatly appreciated. I hope you're enjoying these episodes. I hope they're a little bit different than kind of what you're used to. And if you are enjoying them, just do me a favor. Tell somebody about them. There's a foodie. There's a Disney food snob that you know. Tell them about this episode. I'd really appreciate it. All right, just remember there will be a new episode of It's a Food World each and every Wednesday, as well as a new episode of the regular Ear to There Disney podcast each and every Monday morning. So until next week, thank you again so much for listening. Have yourself a food-tastic week. I'm trying something new. I don't know. Bye-bye.